I guess if I was cooped up in some place for a couple of months, and I had only one Torah portion to look at and to study, and with the commentaries on it and stuff like that, I might pick this one. This is a really good one. There is amazing stuff in this called Tisa. I mean, it does not have the Ten Commandments or the Ve'ahavta in it. It's not the creation story. It's not the holiness code. But there's some great stuff in it. It starts off kind of simple and amazingly relevant for today. It says, when you take a census, be sure to count everyone to avoid a plague. Now, I don't know about you, but I filled out my census form this week. Anyone else get a census thing in the mail? No? Well, it started. It's there. And the whole thing about to avoid a plague, that seems to be relevant for today. And then it talks about making something for that tent of meeting, a sink, a wash basin, and a stand. And 4 times over it says they need to wash continually their hands and their feet. Has anyone heard at least 4 times this week, wash your hands? It's kind of relevant for today. And it says, it's especially for the priests, wash your hands that you might not die. It says that twice. Wash your hands that you don't die. That's kind of freaky. It's kind of, I don't need to read Torah to hear Torah. I hear it all over the place. But then it goes into talking about Moses being on the top of Mount Sinai. 40 days, 40 nights. And the people, what did we do? Our leader's gone. We haven't got our leader anymore. And there's uncertainty. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to us? And in times of uncertainty, and this is one thing that our Torah really teaches us very clearly, uncertainty is not a good thing because it can lead to fear. You want to be certain about a direction, the way that you're moving. It comes up a couple of different times. The people are really scared. And so they throw their gold into a fire, and out comes a golden calf, and they start worshiping it. One of our greatest mistakes. Came out of our uncertainty. And it's a warning for us. Don't do stupid things now. It's a real big time of uncertainty. Don't do stupid things. And then the scene shifts back to the mountain. And we get the details of how the 10 Commandments are actually made. And God takes stones, and the finger of God writes these words on them and gives them to Moses, and Moses starts to bring them down and sees what's happening down below. And the midrash about what happens, they're beautiful, beautiful midrashim about it. One of my favorites is the rocks, they came from the earth and they were very heavy, but the letters that were on them came from heaven and they were very light, like the opposite of heavy. The stones want to return to earth, the letters want to return to heaven. And the letters wanted to return to heaven more than the stones wanted to return to earth. So Moses, as he's walking down the mountain, it's like he's walking uphill. He has to hold them down on earth. They're like helium balloons that want to go up. He's holding them down on earth as he's descending the mountain. And when the letters see what's going on, they say, this isn't the right time for us. And they go back. They go right up to heaven. And the stones, because of the sin that we did, the stones become too heavy for Moses to carry. And boom, right out of his hand, and they shatter. I think that's a fascinating story. There are other really great stories, like when like what happened up in heaven when the stones crashed. According to, I believe it's in our Talmud, God said to the angels, Yasher Koach. Moses really did it right. Hallelujah. He passed the test by smashing the tablets. And the rabbis have fascinating comments about why would God say, yes, Moses, you did great in smashing these. I'll just give you a taste. It's fascinating reading. Fascinating about human nature and our relation to God. So now there's a punishment that's going to be exacted upon all of us, and it's pretty harsh. And fascinating to me is that the golden calf is burned, and the ashes from it are ground up, and they're mixed in water, and everyone has to drink it. Everyone has to drink it. So that sin that we did, actually we internalize it, we own it, and it becomes, at least a little part of it becomes a part of our bones, a part of who we are, that we always now have a part of us, of that sin inside of us. I love, there's a little bit of a flashback to what's going on up in heaven. And Moses is overhearing God say to Moses, Moses, what your people are doing. And they're normally God's people, right? But if your kids mess up, it's, honey, look what your son did. Look what your people, Moses, are doing. Moses, look what your people are doing. And God has this great line. Moses, don't try to stop me. I'm going to wipe them all out. I'm going to start a new nation with you. And that line, don't try to stop me, our rabbis focus on that. They say, what does that mean, don't try to stop me? It means that Moses has the ability to stop God from doing something. That there's an opening there. And Moses jumps on it. And Moses says, you know what, God? It's really not my business what you do, but this is so not like you. What are people going to say? You let them out into the wilderness and then you just killed them? You're going to look bad, God. And Moses says to God, remember, you're the God of love. This isn't what you do. And there's so many deep insights. If someone is really losing it, the most important thing you can do is remind them who they are. It's so many times it's important to remind people who they are. And that's what Moses does for God, reminds God who God is. And God spares us. And then God says to Moses, look, let's try this one more time. Redo, round 2. Moses, you get the stones. I'm not going to give them to you. And you write the words. I'm not going to write it. Write them by your hand. You write the exact same words that I said before. Because those words are really important, even though they sinned. We call that love. We call that compassion, forgiveness, loving kindness. That God gave us the exact same thing. The exact same 10 Commandments again. And when it comes down, we get those words, Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'chanun, Erech apayim v'rav chesed v'yemet, Notzei chesed la'alafim, Notzei avon v'fesha v'chata'a v'nakeh. We do those 3 times during, we do it during the Chagim and especially during the high holidays. And it's who God is, Adonai, Adonai, loving God. El Rachum v'chanun. You are a God of compassion and mercy. Osei chesed la'alafim. You do loving kindness to thousands. Nosei chesed. I knew it. You think I remember it all? You forgive sins and you welcome us back. Powerful words. That's what God is. And Moses comes down with the new 10 Commandments, and the people say, Moses, don't leave us again. Please don't leave us again. And Moses turns to God and says, God, we want you to be our guide, absolutely. Don't abandon us. And God agrees, yes, I'll guide you through. I gave you little snippets of a lot of different parts of this Torah portion. There's a lot of gold to be mined in looking at the rabbinic commentary on all of these things. The Haftarah deals with Elijah and the priests of Baal, and a great big thing that they did with bulls. I don't know, bullock. I don't know what the difference between bullock and a bull. And whose offering they're going to take. And there's this thing with the 12 stones, and they all do their different offerings of the bull, and God takes, of course, the one from Elijah and not the ones from the priests of Baal, to say that God is the true God. Anyways, I gave you a couple of things, hopefully, to think about. And if you're going to be locked up for a couple of months, these are good things to think about. With that, I'm going to just go over a couple of different things. One, all events and programs at Temple Beth Hillel are going to be suspended for a couple of weeks. There is going to be Sunday school tomorrow. Really, it's just to let people know to see one another before going off. Services will continue. People can tune on to it. I've been doing something that just started. It's called 5 at 5, a 5-minute update and a Jewish insight, live streamed from our Facebook page. I am going to be available to go and visit people if you'd like me to come and visit. You can contact me with my email, tbhrabbi@gmail.com, or call my cell phone. Just a word about what's going on. The more that we focus on getting things that we need, toilet paper, eggs, sanitary squirter stuff. By the way, soap is just as good as the sanitary squirter stuff. The more we focus on taking care of all of our needs, the more scared we get. The more we think about other people, the less scared we get. It's interesting. Think about who are the people most hurting. What's something you can do? And if with that as your goal, you won't have that disease of the soul. Are there other really important announcements? I think we have a lot of recycling if someone wants to take home recycling. There's some in our kitchen and a little bit outside the back door to put it in your bin. Tzvi, you need a ride home? So Tzvi lives between here and the 7-Eleven, about 7 blocks away. Can anyone give him a lift home? Sally here is happy to give you a ride home. Any other important things? With that, we're going to remember a few people.